Hi Mark, hi everyone, I'm Mark, recovered drug addict. Bit about my story. I was sort of a working class background, bit of a turbulent childhood. Started drinking probably about 15 years old. Enjoyed it, used to go out a lot. Enjoyed sort of the buzz, just going out partying and that. And then I worked away when I was fairly young and I lived all over. And I just had a joint when I was late, probably about 18, 19 years old. And I enjoyed it yet again, and carried going out with older people I normally work with. And then I introduced to coke about 20 years old, cocaine, and I love the buzz. I love going out and sort of the effects I got from it, make me sort of party, go out more. Then I sort of, about late 80s, I sort of come in touch with ecstasy. So I started taking that, started going raving all the time. And then I moved back to Peterborough, because the last place I was living in was London. I moved back to Peterborough and I started my own business. I had second-hand and antique shop because my father was an antique dealer. And that was sort of going well, and I sort of had the money sort of coming in. So obviously having a drug habit, it sort of got a bit worse. And then sort of I started using cocaine more, not just with drink, but I started using it more. Then me and my partner, we started to live above the shop, the second-hand shop, and we was fairly young. And about 2 or 3 years being together, decided to have a baby, we'd try for a baby, and she fell pregnant quite quick. And with that, she fell pregnant anyway. While she was sort of pregnant, I was still going out, still out with friends, still going on sprees, just thinking of self, thinking of me all the time. And then, obviously, the further she went through her pregnancy, which had a rough pregnancy, I didn't calm down. I was gone for days on end, just lying and deceiving her right at the start. And I just had access to money, so the more money I had, the more gear I was doing. I started sort of tried a bit of crack, done that for a while as well. But it was more the pills, the more sort of going away on a spree for a few days, and I loved it. It was going all over, and I carried on doing that really till about the millennium. But I was obviously sniffing as well, just putting whatever into me really. Then my early 92, my boy come along, and she had a really sort of hard pregnancy. Anyway, she was in labour for about 24 hours or more, and I was with her. I was present at the birth, and he was born, and the cord was wrapped around his neck, so they had to take him on like for some breathing apparatus. Anyway, I cut the cord, and I felt like an instant bond with him. I held him before my wife, or future wife. And then I went on so-called wet the baby's head. Another fucking more self. So I went out for days on end. My family couldn't really get in touch with me. And I was gone, she was still in the hospital bed. Anyway, we sort of made up as normal, sorted things out. But I just carried on going out, carried on sort of thinking of me, thinking of another strategies, how I can sort of stop the drugs getting worse really. Then through the raving, staying away, I ended up fucking about, and she found out I was unfaithful. So we split up for almost a year, and I ended up living with, he was an old friend, and he was coke, and sold coke and crack, and we ended up serving it up together. So that made things even worse. I started smoking a bit more crack. I was always sniffing still. And she had me back. She begged me to come back after about a year. I told her not to have me back because what I've been like, and I wouldn't have been able to accept what she'd have done what I'd have done. And got back together, and within probably few months, she was pregnant again. So moved back in. I moved back in with her, and then we had a rented house at the time. Anyway, I was sort of still going out. I was hanging around with a lot of people who were used, a lot of travellers I used to hang around with, and she was having a rough pregnancy again. She was suffering toxemia, preeclampsia. You know, she was just having a hard time, but I was still going out thinking of me. Anyway, in sort of early 98, I was given a little girl, and I thought, this is it. And I went out and I got done for drink driving. I lost my licence, so we ended up another strategy. Right, we'll buy a house, we'll move. You know, I'll be more present. I'll try and stop my drug taking. And then I confessed. I took my wife out, my mum out, and I confessed about my drug habit. And I went to therapy. I didn't go into treatment at the time. Went to therapy, and I tried to stop, and I just couldn't. My daughter was born. When she was born, I went probably nearly 3 years without taking sort of coke and crack, but I was still taking pills every now and then, going out with my boys. Anyway, it sort of carried on. Then sort of got to sort of, I don't know, sort of 2001, I stopped taking the pills, but still carried on sniffing and going out. And it was regular, not every day, but it was fairly regular. And the people I associate with, they were big drug takers, and we used to it was around me all the time. And I was sort of hiding it again, keeping it from my mum, my wife, my family. But you know, I just living a double life. Can I read something out of the book? Right, chapter 3. Just Fred, because that jumps out. Well, it's one of the ones that jumps out at me. Fred is a partner in a well-known accountancy firm. His income is good. He has a fine home. He's happily married and the father of promising children of college age. He has so attractive a personality that he makes friends with everybody. If ever there was a successful businessman, it is Fred. To all appearance, he is a stable, well-balanced individual, yet he is alcoholic. We first saw Fred about a year ago in a hospital where he had gone to recover from a bad case of jitters. It was the first experience of this kind, and he was much ashamed of it, far from admitting he was an alcoholic. He told himself he came to the hospital to rest his nerves. The doctor intimated strongly that he might be worse than he realised. For a few days he was depressed about his condition. He made up his mind to quit drinking altogether. It never occurred to him that perhaps he could not do so. In spite of character and standing, Fred would not believe himself an alcoholic, much less accept a spiritual remedy for his problem. We told him what we knew about alcoholism. He was interested and conceded that he had some of the symptoms, but he was a long way from admitting that he could do nothing about it himself. He was positive that this humiliating experience, plus the knowledge had acquired, would keep him sober for the rest of his life. Self-knowledge would fix it. So yeah, I carried on drinking, carried on going out, just carried on just giving my wife more shit. Future wife, sorry, we weren't married then. So 2001, we decided to get married June 2001. And I'd been sort of not using coke, like I say, for about 3 years. I was still, the odd weekend doing pills, but I was still drinking all the time. Anyway, I had a stag do, went to Nottingham with a few boys, went on the train and stayed at Rushden Square Hotel. And somebody gave me a line, and then pills, and then smoked some crack. And then I started back on the spree again. And I started using quite a lot. Then sort of just carried on, being deceitful. And what was it, probably about another 4 or 5 years, I started a business up with somebody else sort of in the drug world, and we sort of worked alongside each other. But instead of me getting loads of money out of it, I got money, But I used to get more fucking coke than money, being honest with you. And I was with him in business for about 5 years. I was drinking a lot. I wasn't enjoying it at all really towards the end. I wasn't enjoying it at all, but I just carried on. Then just, carried on deceit. My mum and my family, they knew that I was using. I didn't think they did, but they knew I was still using, but I didn't think they did. So, just carried on living a lie. Then it was probably 2014, 15. I was just getting worse and worse, and just out all the time, just lying to my wife. I was at the auction, I was here, there, everywhere. I had quite a lot of people working for me for a few years, so I could hide it. I was doing quotes, I was going to auctions, just lies, all lies. Yeah, really, and then we come to sort of 2 years ago. It was my 50th, 2 years in July, and I was working in my garden. We've been landscaping my garden, me and my friend, and we started having I was drinking cider at the time. Another strategy, it's not as bad as this, not as bad as I drink cider. So I was drinking cider. We went out, and my wife, I thought she was organising a party. Or we were going away, sorry, I thought we were going away for the weekend. And I went to a local pub with a few friends in the village. Everyone's buying me large gin and tonics. I had the fucking party as normal. And I was drinking, sniffing. Then I rang my wife up. She said, when we're going away, she said, we'll come home, have a bite to eat, and then we're going to go. So I come home, had a bite to eat. And then she said, we're going to go have one at the local pub, and then we're off. And I got there was all my friends there from all over, all my family there, sniffing again, but I can remember a lot of it. And I ended up sort of midnight, it sort of finished there, and I invited a load of boys back to my man cave, and my son and a few friends. We was all still active. It was about 3 a.m, and then I remember I said, I'm just going to get another drink. There was a drink already there. And I went into the house, I got a pint of water, and I blacked out. This is what I forgot to say actually. I've had blackouts and seizures throughout a few years. And I blacked out, and I went back on the floor. Severely fractured my skull, had a bleed on the brain. I was in hospital on and off for days. I had 4 brain scans. I didn't know my family for 3 days. I couldn't walk. I was just in a really bad way. Anyway, they sent me home. I was bedridden for weeks. I was on morphine for nearly 2 months. I was on morphine, and I couldn't work for 2 months, and I was in a really bad way. Then I got better, and then within weeks I was back out drinking, sniffing. Fucking thought this was it. I nearly died. I thought, I'm so lucky to be alive, but I still went out back to how I fucking was, and I'm out partying again, just not even enjoying it. It was just a pure habit. And then after about 18, 19 months of still going out on sprees, after like 30 years of probably taking drugs, I went out and I was with some travellers. It was about the 21st of December, just gone. We was all in a Range Rover, sniffing, and I went in the house about 5 a.m, making out I was sleeping, which I always used to do. I was tossing and turning, laying in the bed. My wife got up, went shopping, and then waited as soon as she'd shut the door, got out a bottle of Grey Goose. I drank a litre of Grey Goose by midday, and 2 grams of coke, and I was just broken. I was in such a mess. I was on my knees, and I just prayed, that something could help me, something could help me stop this reoccurring relapse that I just kept doing every single time. I couldn't do it on my own. So I went for yet more therapy for stuff that happened to me as a child, like physical and mental abuse. So I went that, and about my drug taking, and I was speaking to the girl about that. She said, you really need to go into treatment, but I wouldn't go in. So I don't know why, but I just heard about AA and CA, sort of bits and pieces, and I didn't really look into it. And it was early on this year, I got in my car, I looked on a couple of sites and that, and I've come to this group, well, not the old group, at High Street. I got there, it was pissing down with rain, and I got in through the door. The end meeting was well through, sort of coming towards the end, but I sort of made it there. And thank God, you know, I found a sponsor. And I went through my steps quite vigorously, and when I sort of done my step 4, and I shared it with my sponsor, I did have an amazing spiritual experience, and I just felt everything sort of come out of me, which I know is not forever, but got to keep working this program. But I just feel it's totally saved my life, because I didn't want to be here. That's about it, really, to be honest with you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.